Vina. She's gonna lead us through meditation. Don't be intimidated, it's not an hour long, which is great. After meditation, we're gonna take a group photo and then we're gonna enjoy some lunch before we break off to our volunteer sessions. So, without further ado, Vina is originally from India and grew up in Zambia, Africa. She moved to the US with her family at the age of 18. She studied at American River College and completed her MBA at Sac State. After graduation, Vina worked with corporate, government, and small businesses, and then went on to create her own company, Awakening Creative Arts. She's been teaching workshops on creativity, art, and personal development for 20 years, and sees her clients for private sessions on healing family dynamics and hypnotherapy. Vina learned meditation from Amma, an international humanitarian and spiritual leader, popularly known as the Hugging Saint. For the last 16 years, Vina has done volunteer work as a meditation instructor, teaching thousands of people on Amma's North American tours. Vina also supervises instructors in California and conducts annual trainings for meditation instructors nationally and internationally. Locally, Vina has taught meditation to inmates at Folsom Prison, U.S. veterans at Concord Veterans Center, and women in addiction recovery through Mercy Hospital. Please give a warm welcome to Vina.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Maritza, for recommending for me to be here. Thank you, Martina. Thank you, all of you, for being here. I'm honored to share with you a passion of mine, of course, and I promised that I would not make you meditate for an entire hour because you would all run out of here. So I'm going to talk a little bit about meditation. I'm going to talk about my own journey of women's empowerment for a few minutes, and then we'll talk a little bit about what meditation is, and then I'll guide you through a meditation experience which I have created for you, especially for today, for International Women's Day and Women's Empowerment Meditation. So first I want to start out with just sharing with you my own journey of empowerment. I was telling this to my husband, he's here with me, and he says, you have to include this story. So when I came to the United States, I was 18 and I couldn't go to college right away because we didn't have the means, so I helped to, as the oldest of four living children, I went and I worked part-time minimum wage and worked for a couple of years, and I really realized the value of having an education. And so when my brother graduated from high school, he's 2 years younger than me, I decided, we could both go to American River College, and my dad sat us down in the living room. I remember this is like my story, right? We all have our story. I remember that distinct moment when he sat me down and I sat my brother down side by side, and he said to my brother, you are going to go to UC Davis, get an engineering degree, and I'm going to pay for your apartment. And with the same breath, he said to me, and you are going to get married, and I'm going to find you a boy. And, I'm from India, so we have arranged marriage. But I'd grown up in Africa, and so I was really independent and rebellious and had a mind of my own, but I would not speak up to my father in that moment. But I sat there and I said to myself, oh, no, you didn't. You did not just say that. Because you know what? I'm going to show you. I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to go to college myself and put myself through college. By that time, I was working for attorneys part-time, and I put myself through American River College, Sac State, and went on to get my MBA degree, and I did it on my own. And, to my father's credit, when he saw how successful I was in my work afterwards, I have two younger sisters, he paid for their way in full. So he did come around, and he made it up to me. So thanks, Dad. He did come. We can change. But sometimes we have to get that warrioress out, in us, and just take that energy and utilize it. But there's also a time when we have to put that warrioress down, put our weapons down, and make peace and heal our wounds, right? That was a wound for me. That was a story I carried with me for decades. And then I had to put that down and heal my relationship with my father and realize that he really did do the best he could, and he really did give me a whole lot more, but I just shut him out when that happened. So I had to come back, and that's the healing work that I do in my work. So I'm going to share with you a couple of things about women's rights movement, and you probably, many of you already know, but I did a little research on it, and I thought it was really interesting that it started in 1848 with 4 women having tea together. Did you know that? Did some of you know that already? Maybe you all knew it. The National Women's History Alliance states that women's rights include being allowed to live life in an atmosphere of religious freedom, having a voice in the government you support with your taxes, and living free of lifelong enslavement by another person. Now, in some other countries, that's not the case, right? So 7 generations of women have come together to effect these changes in the most democratic ways through meetings, petition drives, lobbying, public speaking, and nonviolent resistance. They've worked very deliberately to create a better world, and they've succeeded hugely. Now these beliefs are commonly shared across US society. And I was able to do what I did because I lived in a country where I had the freedom to work and get the education. I had the power to do that. Maybe in other countries it may not have been so possible. So what is an empowered woman? According to my culture, I know that the co-owner of the Sacramento Kings, Vivek Ranadive, that's how we say it in Indian. He's from Mumbai, India. I was born very close to where he's from. In our culture, we have the concept of the goddess. And the goddess is depicted with many arms, and she dances. And I never understood what it meant to have, all these arms. I never understood that culture. I had to kind of study it myself. But when I became a mother, I understood what it means to have many arms. How many of you have children, right? You're like juggling the baby, got the groceries, got the cart, all these things, and then you're juggling your career, juggling your relationship, you're juggling all these things, and that actually is the goddess herself. You are the goddess embodied, because you're juggling all these things, and there are many types of goddesses. There's the warrioress goddess who protects the children. There's the goddess of knowledge and wisdom who grants creativity and inspiration and beauty. And then there's the goddess of abundance, and she has gold coins flowing from her hands, and she grants happiness, material wealth, and spiritual wealth, which means peace of mind and heart. You can have money, but not be happy. So having that peace of mind and heart. So this is the goddess culture that I come from, and in my in my experience, I have my teacher Amma, the hugging saint. She says that in ancient times, women were revered more than men because we have something that men will never have, and that is the God-given ability to give life, to give birth. Not only do we give life, but we sustain life, we nurture life, and as women, we take care of so many generations, the generations after us, generations before us, the current generations. We're the center of the universe in our world. And just like Tina said, we have to take care of ourselves. And that's what happened to me. I had a full-time job. I had my son, I had my husband. I was doing everything, and then I crashed. And that was my moment of awakening. I had to get on disability at work. And that was when I woke up to the fact that I need to take care of myself. I wasn't meditating at that point, and that's when I discovered meditation. So, one thing I want to say about the goddess is, as many arms as she has in the front, she has her hand out this way with her left hand, through which she receives universal energy, and her right hand, she gives blessings. So that's a symbolic of balance of give and take, that we take from that universal energy and we give from a place of fullness. We don't give from a place of emptiness, and that's what meditation helps you to do, is to tap into that universal energy that's already inside of you. And want to just tell you a little bit about the benefits of meditation. So let me just have Show of hands, how many people have a regular daily meditation practice? Excellent, great. How many people have never meditated before and wonder what the heck is going on here today? Why am I here? Okay, good, welcome. How many people have kind of intermittently experienced and everywhere in between? All right, all of you, excellent, good. So I want to just say to you that all of you already know how to meditate. Don't worry about knowing how to meditate. You already know how to meditate. Do you know why? Because when you go on a vacation, when you go out to the river, you go to the mountains or the ocean, what do? You're just there. There are no thoughts. It's just peace. It's just presence. But we can't always go to the beach or the mountains or go out to Hawaii. So a meditation practice, having a daily practice, even if it's just 5 minutes, helps to recharge your batteries, plug yourself in, just like we have to recharge our cell phone. It's recharging our self phone so that we can be present for all that life, demands of us. I'll just share a couple benefits and then I'll shift gears here in a moment into taking you through the meditation. There's some scientific studies done on the benefits of meditation. First of all, meditation increases brain neuroplasticity, as published by the National Institutes of Health. Several studies have shown that the constant practice of meditation induces neuroplasticity phenomena, including reduction of age-related brain degeneration and the improvement of cognitive functions. More specifically, the effects of meditation are correlated to improvements in attention, working memory, spatial abilities, and long-term memory. Meditation also increases happiness. There have been studies under the direction of the Dalai Lama at the University of Wisconsin-Madison examining the brain images of Buddhist monks who had meditated for 25 to 40 years. Do you know what they discovered? So in our brain is a little center called the amygdala, and it's the size of a pea, the little tip of your little finger. That's how big it is. And it's called your happiness center. And in meditation, we stimulate that to increase our sense of happiness. It can also be stimulated with drugs. So when we take drugs, we actually stimulate that little center in our brain, and it gives us this euphoric dopamine hit. But guess what? Over time, that actually starts to damage that amygdala to where you need more and more of the substance and get less and less of the effect. With meditation, what they found is that the amygdala, you can, in a healthy way, stimulate it, and that the feelings of happiness increase over time. And they found that these Buddhist monks that meditated for decades, their amygdala, the size of a pea in most people, can you imagine how big it is in those Buddhist monks? It's the size of a golf ball. Meditation does increase happiness. I'll just share a quick story with you at the Concord Vet Center. We had a young man in his 20s. He was from Afghanistan, Iraq, and he came back and he had PTSD, he had really, really bad PTSD. And so he came into the room where we were teaching. We had about 12 veterans. He came in and he sat down like this. He had his hands on his, on his head. His shoulders were down and his posture was just like this. He was carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. And we started the meditation. This is the I Am meditation that Amma gives for free to the entire world. And that's the practice that I've been doing all these years. This 18 years now. And for 16 years, I've been training people to do this meditation as well as training instructors. He sits down and he does the meditation. We start the meditation. And the first step is to just look down and notice what's going on inside of you. And then at the very end, after doing all the different steps, the very end again, look down and notice what's going inside of your mind. We did the meditation, and afterwards I said, well, how was that for you? And I just opened it up to the group. And that young man, his name was Abraham, he said, that was a trip. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, when I started the meditation in the beginning, all those thoughts were just going. And at the end, they were gone. And I tried to bring them back, and they didn't come back. And so he was so jazzed that his PTSD You know what PTSD is? You have a traumatic experience, and then it's repeated in your mind. The video is repeated over and over. So you're re-traumatized again and again. And so that movie stopped for him from one experience of the meditation. He went back to work. 2 months, he's just doing his meditation every single day. He comes back 2 months later, he says, I have something to share. I have something to share. So he comes, he's so excited. He said, I've been doing this meditation every day, and I just started smiling more at work, and I'm just like more myself, and I'm happier. And you know what my boss did? He called me into his office, and he said, hey, what are you on? What are you taking? And he drug tested him because he was so happy because he was doing his meditation. That's one of my favorite stories of this practice. So let's go ahead and shift gears now into meditation. I'm going to give you a quote from my teacher, Amma, the hugging saint. Anybody heard of her? Yeah? No? So maybe a couple of you, yeah. So she is a woman growing up in Indian cultural, very, very patriarchal India. And she had to overcome great odds in order to fulfill her worldwide mission. She gives a hug, a blessing in the form of a hug, and she's hugged 30, 40 million around the world. And she gives, all of her programs are free, and her meditation is free. You may have come across, some people might have come across TM or Art of Living or other meditation programs. They can cost hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars because these techniques are very powerful and effective. Amma gives her techniques for free to everyone. And I have a flyer for you that has a date on it, and I'd be happy to set up a class for the Sacramento Kings if you would like that for free. So here's what Amma says. She says, say we are walking. If the mind tell the legs to stop, they will stop. Say we're drumming. If we tell the hands to stop, they will stop. But if we tell our thoughts to stop, will they stop? What do you think? No. We need to develop the ability to stop them, and meditation is most needed for that. She says our mind is like a television, and we have lost the remote control. It's just going, going, going. She says meditation and other spiritual practices help us to take back the remote control of our mind, which means when you want to relax and switch off and go to sleep, you can say, I'm ready to switch off the mind. But when I need it to work for a project, I can focus my mind. That's control of the mind. She says, usually we don't try to still our mind. All revelations happen only in inner silence. For a painter to draw a beautiful painting, for a poet to write a touching poem, for a student to study his exams, for a scientist to dive deep into the mysteries of the universe, and add to that for an athlete to play effortlessly with focus. You need a still and relaxed mind. Currently, we don't have control over our thoughts. Meditation helps us to control them and channel them in the desired direction. When our thoughts are reduced, the mind becomes tuned with the cosmos. It is at that point that we get a glimpse of true knowledge. When the mind becomes peaceful, the individual mind comes closer to the cosmic mind. The mind becomes like a mirror. Secrets of the universe get revealed in that mind. So why would we meditate? We meditate so that we can tap into the power and potential and joy and peace that is inside of us. And when we have a regular daily practice, my practice started as just in the morning lighting a candle. Just that moment of stillness, that's how it started. So having a practice that brings you back to center and recharges you daily. We need that, we all need that. But not only does meditation recharge us, it helps us to achieve everything that we could ever aspire towards, because it taps into that potential that is in each one of us. Each one of us has a genius inside. We have the inner net, says my teacher. Tap into your inner net through meditation. So I'm going to share with you now the special meditation that I have created for you. So let's go ahead and get comfortably seated. We'll start the music.